Hello, Clovis here. Welcome back, and welcome to the following video. I would tell you to ignore the X to my immediate left, but that might not be possible. So allow me to explain. Or put another way, I ain't explaining till the X become pertinent to the discussion at hand. Today's topic is Toolkit functions. A topic some of you may find yourself confronted with at some point or other in your algebra math class. Maybe it's on a piece of paper or a handout. Depends on the teacher. The first and only thing to understand about toolkit functions is it ain't really no such thing. As for the phrase itself, it can be better described as two unrelated things. A toolkit, which is a place where you put your tools in, and a function, which is a thing in math we already know about. And I do believe it's safe to say the function in the phrase toolkit functions does refer to the type of function you're already familiar with, a math function. Since apparently it's only in the world of math where it makes sense to put these two terms together in a phrase that don't got no meaning. Ain't nothing about a math function go in a toolbox. But it's always two sides to the story. Same thing go for toolkit functions. So here go the math teacher side. There are certain functions that are very fundamental to the math we are doing in this class. You might say they're kind of basic. For example, a parabola or a straight line, and there are others. In fact, we have already learned about some of them a little bit, like a line and a parabola. We know them to be functions. But now that we've arrived at Unit 4, it's time to learn some of the basic features of the formulas of these functions in a more organized manner. Features such as the magnitude of the leading coefficient, or whether there's a number being added or subtracted at the end. And then we'll manipulate these features in various ways and see how that affects the graphs of these functions in the coordinate plane accordingly. In what ways can they be transformed? So far that all makes sense. But hold up, just one more thing, kids. For the duration of this unit, and possibly never again after that, you're going to refer to these basic functions as toolkit functions because they basic, like a wrench. And like I said, we're going to be exploring and manipulating some of the basic features of these toolkit functions to see how them functions change on a graph when you adjust them like this or that. Kind of like you would do with a wrench. It don't make no kind of sense. Here go a group of toolkit functions. These ain't actually tools. All of these functions right here ain't sitting in a box in your closet. You ain't gonna go rummaging through them when it comes time for you to build a garden shed. And if you do, it ain't gonna help you with the shed, girlfriend. Nevertheless, the phrase toolkit function continues to be widely used. Therefore, we got to contend with it. So, be advised. Some point in the near future, and for no apparent reason, you might be asked to take a certain group of 8 or 10 functions and place them in a metaphorical toolbox in your brain. Furthermore, I'm very unhappy to inform you that once you've done complied with that request and you got that metaphorical toolbox in your brain waves, you possibly ain't actually going to be using these functions in a manner of tools to build nothing, mathematically speaking or otherwise. So where does that leave us? I guess somebody started referring to these functions as toolkit functions to remind everybody else they important, like toolboxes. So the moral of today is the phrase toolkit functions ain't worth a hill of beans, to use yet another expression that ain't got a lick of sense to it. Perhaps the best that can be said for toolkit functions is that like so much in life, the phrase will necessarily come and go. Alright, the X. Basically, it's a visual aid meant to represent an emotional reaction. And the letter X is also helpful because you can metaphorically place it over top of certain math concepts and phrases that have limited usefulness. Okay, time to move on with your day. Goodbye.